Welcome to the second episode of the Civ Analysis Podcast. I'm your host, igotbrenz, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Sir Ducks Lancelot. Let's give him a chance to say hello, shall we?
Hello.
Sir Ducks Lancelot does YouTube as well, and the link to that will be in the description. So go follow him. Link for the Season 1 playlist will appear in the top right and in the description. The first episode is about settling and is perfect as an introduction to this episode, both game-wise and an introduction to us as hosts. Today, we'll be covering how to optimize your district placement, thereby maximizing your yields plus managing your citizens. Hopefully, we'll give you a revised outlook on your city management and teach you or make you notice something new. First season is a discussion on all mechanics and key decisions throughout the game, suitable for players on any difficulty/skill. Episodes come out every Tuesday, so subscribe to be notified. Without further ado, let's get straight into the analysis. So aside from working your citizens, you got to think about what tiles they can work. And in this case, we are really stuck with just 1-2s here around Frankfurt. And that's not ideal. We've got money saved up, so we're going to buy this 2-2. And that is an ideal tile to work first, okay, because it gives you food. And these tiles do not. And that makes a big difference to how the city grows and the production in the future. Another thing is, if you look at these tiles, you need probably a builder. Now, you normally go for something like a monument in a new city. Either going builder first or going a builder immediately after the monument is definitely a good idea here, because this entire area, if you see, even the second ring, really lacks food. So we'll probably need something like improving potentially the maize.
I think maybe improving the horses and then maybe improving the wheat. Hopefully we would grow to the wheat, or we could maybe buy a wheat tile and then improve it and have a 3-1 to work. Also, we'd probably want to work maybe the tobacco at some point. Working that would be good to get the faith, so we don't have to keep running God King. We can switch into urban planning. Okay, so we have another city here. We've decided to settle a 2-2 base on the Fountain of Youth. We have a nice spice tile right next to our city center. And a big question here would be what tile to work. Now, if we didn't have our Pantheon yet, I could see possibly working a couple turns into the faith tile so that we could get it quicker. And maybe you would get the religious settlements Pantheon that way. But assuming that we already have our Pantheon, I think we would want to actually work on the spice tile, because working you don't want to work the 4 science 4 faith tile because there's no food. You wouldn't grow. It would be like getting a very short burst but sacrificing in the long run.
Normally, when you settle the city, the first decision, apart from your capital, is whether to go for a monument or granary, so something at the city centre. Now, granary is essentially never really a choice, because you normally will have builders to get plus 0.5 housing from improving, say a plantation on the spices, a lumber mill, a mine, farms. Everything gives 0.5 housing, I believe, and therefore it kind of makes the granary irrelevant, because normally if you settle next to fresh water, you won't have housing problems. But if you settle on the coast, you might want to do that. But again, normally the lighthouse gives you housing anyway, so you normally also want to delay granary. But it's a good idea maybe later down the game to get that extra +2 housing and 1 food. But monument is always a better shout because culture is very important.
First district we're going to discuss is the Government Plaza. And the Government Plaza, besides giving you an extra adjacency, it will also give you governor title when you build it. And then when you build the buildings inside of it, those will each give you a governor title as well. The types of buildings that you choose to put in your Government Plaza will really impact the course of the game. So the first big decision related to the Government Plaza is which building you're going to choose. And so you get to choose a building for each government that you are in. So when you reach the tier 1 government, you get to choose a tier 1 Government Plaza building. And the 3 choices are Ancestral Hall, Audience Chamber, and Warlord's Throne. Warlord's Throne I only do when I'm going pure domination, like It'll give you an extra 20% bonus production in all cities for 5 turns after capturing an enemy city. Ancestral Hall will give you a free builder in all newly settled cities. So this is really good if you're going for a really wide empire, meaning that you have a lot of different cities. It will give you a free builder in each of those cities, and you could use that builder for chopping districts or just improving tiles. And really nice. I think it really pays for itself if you build enough cities. The third government plaza building is the audience chamber. And this building is really good for kind of a tall empire with only a few large cities. It will give you 2 amenities and 4 housing in cities with a governor. The extra amenities basically can be thought of as increasing your yields by 10%, because if you go from +1 amenity to +3, then you get an extra 10% boost.
Most of the time, going for audience chamber is the choice, despite, the concept of it going tall. The reason being, Ancestral Hall is really useful normally with coastal civs, because you normally get your harbour and go taller at the beginning, and then you only want to spam out settlers, say with Magnus or something, with Ancestral Hall later. But otherwise, if you don't have that much space, you go for audience chamber. And it's normally still good for about 10, 11 cities, I think. We will now breeze through all the major districts and give a quick description. Campuses essentially boost your blue number.
The theater square and its buildings give you culture.
Industrial zone gives you more production.
The commercial hub and its buildings give you gold.
Markets are really good because it gives you trade routes. Harbors give you gold.
And they also give you the trade routes. And then shipyards are really good. The tier 2 building for a harbor can give you quite a bit of production, increases the production on coastal tiles, as well as giving you bonus production equal to the harbor adjacency. Holy sites give you faith, and they also give you great profit points that you can accumulate to get a great profit and a religion.
And buy great people, and yes, monumentality. On screen now should be the district adjacency map. It shows all the districts together. You can find it on Reddit, and it's the first search when you search up districts map Civ 6. It's a good point of reference if you don't understand or remember the adjacency. Note, we are playing with Japan, so all these yields would be reduced by 2, but you get the point. It's a very nice setup because these districts get adjacency for 3 districts, essentially only from 2, really matters, but you might have other districts as well surrounding this initial setup. But yeah, it's very nice if you don't have mountains, say, nearby, to get at least still +2 sites, and probably more if you mix it with a mountain or other districts. Note that government plaza setup would need 3 cities.
So as you can see here, districts kind of allow you to create yields that aren't there originally. We have a pretty mediocre floodplain here, but through our district planning, we can create some really powerful districts. This is a good industrial zone setup. Industrial zones get 2 adjacency from aqueducts and dams, and you can usually set up a couple cities so that they each have an aqueduct with 1 or 2 industrial zones between, and then also have a dam on the river, giving the industrial zones adjacency as well. And then if you can plan it so that you have your industrials next to a strategic resource like we do here next to horses, then that will further increase the adjacency.
The final kind of common setup you have is with an entertainment complex or one and wonder in the center, or 2 wonders or 2 entertainment complexes. This then allows the theatre squares on either side to get adjacency, and they get +2 culture from an adjacent entertainment complex or wonder. These 3 very common and very important in most games.
It's really nice to have setups like we discussed, but it's also important to note that we don't have to have a setup this good in every city. It's good to maybe have 1 or 2 of these setups in our empire, but trying to get every city perfected like this is probably not good. You're not going to be able to do it. You kind of have to accept some inefficiencies. With the theater square setup, it's probably somewhat possible to get good setups like that, at least by the end of the game when you built more wonders. With the industrial zones, you probably only want a couple of those kinds of setups, because having too many industrial zones usually isn't worth the investment unless you're really out of districts, you have high population in every city, and you're able to get good adjacencies on each industrial zone.
We forgot to do this when we were recording, but it's so crucial, but it's literally so natural to us players that you just forget to mention it. When you have the population available, you want to place down districts as soon as possible. I think the thresholds are 4 population, 7 population, etc. You want to do this because the production costs for districts goes up as you research more techs and civics. Locking and putting them down actually locks in the production cost, so it's cheaper in the long run. So you can just pre-place, put down your campus, but make a builder or settler something instead. That's a very, very important thing and a very good habit. Ducks and I are now going to actually map and tack out district placement on this map in front of you and compare our results. Note that this is for demonstration purposes. We probably would have done the Gov Plaza earlier. It's very important to get your government plaza down earlier. But though having 5 cities and doing the Gov Plaza isn't too bad, but ideally you'd probably want to have it earlier. And the same goes for maybe you'd probably want an earlier campus or holy site, especially as Japan, you probably want to go for earlier religion. But we have gone for harbours here earlier because harbours here are really, as long as you get the biggest adjacency, there's no real debate.
Okay, so we have a really interesting situation here. We sort of have a 5-city setup, and Brenz and I have pinned the map for where we would each put districts, and we each kept it a secret from each other. And so now we're going to compare a little bit. It's interesting. We had a lot of similarities. We both put our government plaza in the same place. That was interesting. We have dam and aqueduct in the same place in Kyoto.
It was interesting, and I think he agrees with me when I say this. The Gov Plaza was this spot. Firstly, it's in the capital. Normally, you want your government plaza in a very high production city or the capital, because then you get out quickly. Secondly, for campuses, it's nice because these campuses down south, they get the adjacency from this mountain. I don't think Ducks did it quite the same, but he definitely did have campuses right next to the government plaza. And this setup really allows, for maximum.
Maximum adjacency for sure. Yeah, and it's interesting. It seems like your districts were more balanced in their adjacencies, like more consistent, whereas I had
bigger,
like a really high adjacency district and then a lower adjacency one, but it all sort of evened out.
So the lesson to learn here, boys, is I'm more consistent than Ducks. But yeah, take what you can from this, but this is how, as the game progresses, obviously you don't have all these districts unlocked at once. But yeah, this is how you'd normally probably plan out your cities. This is probably a bit extreme, but it shows and puts into practice a lot of the earlier kind of standard common things you'd see. So you see kind of a standard Gov Plaza setup, a dam one, and a theatre square kind of done between 4 cities.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Next episode, we're going to talk about wonders and how to fit certain wonders into different strategies and their placement and how to integrate them into your empire. So hope you join us next time, and thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to subscribe so you get notified for future episodes. And also please comment any feedback you have, and share to friends or whatever if you found the video really good.
Okay, yeah, we can go over by 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, sorry, I met this 18-year-old guy on the internet, and
no, it's cool. It's good. I'll watch your casts sometimes on my in-laws' big screen TV.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Nice to know. Ducks, you're such a slow but
such a what?
Slow person. Wow, Jesus. No, encampments.
Wait, what?